Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. I'm your host and mayor, BJW, and as you might be able to tell as we take a quick little tour through our growing metropolis, it's quite a bit larger than it was last time we were here together, and the reason being, I shot a number of other episodes, but unfortunately due to some file corruption and some other little errors, I lost 3 episodes, and so through a little bit of deliberation and a little feeling of sadness, I think I am going to end this series. I should say this season, not the series, just the first season. And I'm going to start another season, Season 2 of Cities Skylines, which is a little weird after only having 3 or 4 episodes in. But part of the reason I want to do that is I've been playing a lot with the map editor, and I found some really cool tools, and I've also really been enjoying playing with some mods a little bit. I've done that in a couple of other places, just trying to get a sense of what these mods are like. And so I'm going to create my own map based on the area around Portland, Oregon, where I lived for 20 years. And I know the topography and the terrain there really, really well. So it'll be really interesting to try and build a city on an area that I know really well. And we're also going to delve pretty deeply into mods. I think I'm going to go pretty heavy into it, just to, especially buildings, probably not too much in the way of terrain or things like that in terms of editing it during the gameplay. But yeah, so I think let's take just a very quick kind of high overview of the city here before we say goodbye to Makucheberg. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things I really learned about it. I think I learned a lot about the layout of roads and how they work in the game and how to build the roads so they work really well, and some other tools. So I think it's really going to serve us well. So I'll probably continue playing in here. Maybe every now and then I'll come back and I'll show the city and how it's grown a little bit. But we're going to go in and we're going to use the terrain editor to build a brand new map to play on, and then we're going to start Season 2. So one last shot here of Makucheberg, and then we're going to cut. And I'm going to show you a couple of new tools that I found to get the terrain that we want to work with, and then we're going to go into the map editor and build something cool to play our next city from. So we'll see you in just a minute. Alright, so here we are at reddit.com, and one of the things I'd recommend you do first, if this is something that you're interested in, is go ahead and go to Reddit and just search for Terrain Party, and it should be one of the first threads that pops up here. It's a terrain.party, and you're invited. Web app to generate Heightmap for use in game, and it was posted in our Cities Skylines. And if you go into the comments there, from Will Glenn, he's actually got a really good description of how to use this tool. And so, of course, if you just click on it, it will take you to terrain.party, and this is where you're going to pop up, is right here in Finland, near Helsinki. And of course, you're probably going to want to move this to someplace else that you want to use. And a couple of things that I think I would like to point out real quickly is this over here, this 18-kilometer grid that you're looking at fits best within the game. I think that he worked really hard to make sure that this was sized correctly, and you can make that bigger or smaller if you want to. It might just take, well, as real as the game could be, it might take some of the reality out of it. But then you also have, you can look at different type of map views, whichever one you're more familiar with. It won't affect what you download, but that just helps you look at what you want to look at. And then the download or the export button, so that's going to export all your black and white height maps that you need in City Skylines. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now you got to grab that box and drag it where you want to go. And we are going over here to Portland, Oregon, as I mentioned. And we're going to zoom in here a little bit. So I think one of the reasons I think this is a really interesting map is we've got 2 major rivers. We've got the Columbia and the Willamette River, and then we've got the West Hills. It's a pretty good set of hills on the west side of downtown Portland. And you've got a flat area where downtown is, and then a really large kind of this old fluvial area where these rivers came together, and this area flooded historically many, many times. And then you've got some hills that are back off 205 and a couple other small hills that are in there. And so they get some interesting topology, or sorry, not topology, that's mathematics, topography, to build from. A lot of flat area to build in, but you've got some hill areas to do something really interesting with as well. And I think just to get more area, I'm going to upsize this a little bit. even though it might remove some of the reality of the game. I'm not that worried about it. And then you kind of set it where you want it. And what I think I want to try and do here is I want to get the area where downtown Portland is. And then we have this old gravel pits right here. This used to be an island that was dug out for gravel by a company in Portland over many, many years. And then we want to get the Columbia Slough and some of this other stuff in here. I don't think I need to get up to the confluence. I just want to have the river coming through part of it. And then I want to make sure that the downtown area is within that grid. So I'm debating on how much I want to move here. I think I want to do it right in here, and that way I get some of this island in. I'll be able to cross over. We're not going to make it quite up to the Columbia, but we've got some airport here. And I don't know if you can see, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 by 9, so grid, and then inside of this is the 5 by 5. If you can see this darker line that goes around here, this is going to be actually your game area. So, and then this is the pretty distance beyond. So we want to be careful about where you place that. And I wish this was a little bit bigger, but I don't think I'm going to upsize it. I think I'm going to keep it this way and just have the Willamette coming through in this flat area up in there. Some other little hills that are in there. So we'll start with this and we'll see how it works. So you pick the area that you want. You just hit your download. We'll call this Portland, Oregon. Boom. And then it should download for us. So we'll go ahead and finish downloading, and then I'm going to pull up a couple of folders for us to look at. Let's do that right now. So we need the Heightmaps from the actual game folder, and then we need our downloads. And your user downloads, you should have it sitting in there. And then what you do is you go into, dadgummit, it does that every time. I don't want a shortcut. So let's try that again. So you go to your user's your name, which of course mine's blanked out right now. Your app data, local, colossal order, and then cities, skylines, add-ons, map editor, and Heightmaps. So let's scoot back here a little bit. So we're in cities, skylines now, and then you have all these other ones. And this might get confusing. You've got your saves and you've got your maps, but you definitely want to go into add-ins or add-ons, map editor, Heightmaps. And I've got some in here from an earlier test that I ran, but I can't delete that folder. It's open in something else and I can't figure out why, so it's still there. But then you can just drag your zip file into there, go ahead and extract it into that location. Make sure that your maps are sitting in Heightmaps. Don't put it inside of a folder, or cities won't be able to read it. So there you go. That's all you really need to do. And then we're going to go into cities now, and I'll show you how to import these guys. Okay, back in Cities Skylines, you have a number of alternatives here, and of course you need to go into Tools and Map Editor, and go ahead and hit New. And you can choose any one of these that are kind of representative of what sort of area you might actually want to be building in. And I'd say out of those three themes, Temperate's probably the most close to me, and really all it's doing is just giving you a really big flat plane to start with, and then you'll import the height map and then it'll adjust it. So we'll go ahead and give it a second here, and there you go. And that's what you end up with. You'll come in with basically a giant big flat plane of green, and then you come into, what's this? Requirements. Have water stream. I didn't see this. Have water stream and starting area. Okay. Have at least one incoming highway connection. We'll do that. Outgoing. Those are requirements. Then recommended, have a train connection. Okay. Ship pathway. We'll do that. At least one plane path. Okay. Oil, forest, fertile, and ore. Okay, great. We'll do that. We'll make sure we'll have all of that located in here. I think that'll be pretty easy to do. So let's close up Mr. Tweeterbug there. And import height map. That's what you're looking for. Oh, they can export the height map too, which is interesting. But we'll want to import it, and then it's already opened up into that height map. And so these are all the ones that we imported. And the one that I've been using and seems the most accurate, I think, is it's merging them. And I wish I had a little more room in here, but I think this is the 10 meter. And so you want to get the best quality you can. So you've got a lot of the times you'll see 30, which will be 30 meter, and you can see how much rougher the quality is there, and even on that 30 meter. And so they must have this merged one, and it seems to work the best. It's 16 bits map. So let's start with that bad boy, And you can see how quickly that imported the height map. Close that up. And for if you've got any sense of topography and what it feels like in the game, then or what Portland feels like, you'll know that this is actually pretty close. You know, this is the Mount Tabor area. Pretty clearly, it feels like it, and you can see these are the West Hills up in here, and Forest Park, and this is the Willamette River coming right down through here, and there's a real big industrial area, and this is the Bluff, and University of Portland's right up in that area, and so it's pretty close actually. It's amazing how you can even pick up the sense of it. And right here's the Columbia River and some of the slough and the airport and things like that are right up in that location. So yeah, it's that is Portland, Oregon for sure. So one of the things I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start carving out, because I think what this does is it's giving me the topography and it's giving me the height map data, but this right here is really actually the surface water elevation of the Willamette River, and so I need to actually kind of dig out the rivers a little bit so that I can fill them with water, and I'll do that both with the Willamette and with the Columbia, and then we'll come back and start adding water and things like that. I just want to do a little bit of topography work off camera because I think it's going to take me a little while to do it. I could tell so far from playing with with some other ones it takes a little while, so I'll do that and then I'll be right back. Alright, we finally got some topography changed around a little bit here. I got the area where the Willamette River lives. I had to lower it down all so that I could get some water in there, and one of the interesting things I found out about the map tool is that if you come to the edges where you have rivers that cross the edge, when you bring the terrain down to sea level, it automatically starts filling the water back up, and so that's kind of what all this is. And the reason, and this is all sort of flooded right now, is it started water in from this side and it kind of crashed into water coming from this side, and it flooded this area out a little bit. So I think this area should drop down a little bit, but if it doesn't, what you can do is you can actually change sea level a little bit. So we could drop this down just a hair, like so. And then I think over time this water will recede. We can actually speed up time a little bit and see if that water will recede. We'll give it a little bit more time, but this is actually really good and interesting. This is how this area actually flooded over time. So it's been a long time since it flooded like this, but there's a lot of community that actually lives out in this area now. I kind of gave up at some point on the Columbia Slough part of it, and I think I'll leave it like that. I felt like I didn't want to get back up into here too much further, so this is a pretty good representation. We'll give it some time, and hopefully that'll recede a little bit, but while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and look at some of the other tools that are over here. We've got ground resources, so we've got fertile land, oil, and ore. I think I'm going to take this ore, and I think I'm going to make this pretty fertile land, but I think I'm going to go ahead and place ore up in the hills a little bit up in here. And we got to do it within the kind of our 5x5 grid. So maybe we'll get a little bit kind of back up into the edges of our starting tile, and maybe get a little bit back up into the mountain terrain here a little bit. And we'll kind of keep that up in here for ores. There we go, something like that. That looks good to me. How about some fertile land? I think, we're going to want to keep kind of the fertile land along the riverbanks, I think, for the most part. We'll come back up and through here. We're going to need a little bit kind of in our starting area, perhaps. Along the riverbanks. Definitely in through here. I think, is that enough? Yeah, that should be enough. We're not probably going to do tons of fertile land. Or oil. Let's see here. Where should we do oil? Maybe back up and through here a little bit? How about we do some oil back up and through there? And then maybe a little bit down in through here, so that way we've got some within our starting tile. And then maybe we'll get a bigger one back over in here. Yeah, there we go. Right around this hill. We'll get some ore into this hill a little bit. And then some more fertile lands along this river right in through there. And then we'll go ahead and put a bunch of fertile land out here somewhere. Even though we're not going to be able to use much of it because it's off our tile, but we'll put some out here anyway. How about some more oil kind of along this ridge line? Maybe up and through here just a little bit. There we go. We'll get some ores back up into there. Already got some back up into there. And maybe some up in this corner. There we go. That looks pretty good. And whatever some of our other tools here, we've got roads. We'll put roads in, and we got to put in our shipping lanes. Trees. One of the interesting things up here is you see that it gives you 250,000 trees is as much as you can use. And so I've seen people like B00 or Corrales, and you know, they exceed their tree limit, and they're like, well, can't I place any more trees? And that's because there's actually a limit, and the idea is that keeps you from crashing the game, I think. But I think there is a mod actually that expands that, but I don't want to mess with that. And the other thing, before we actually get into trees, let's show you some of the terrain tools. And so you've got this shift tool, which lower raises the terrain, right click, left click, and pluses and minuses reduce the size of the brush. So watch how severe this is. Right click, boom. Look how high that gets. That's too much. I can undo and then left click and it drops it way down. But the other thing I found too is that if you do that, then you can use this tool right here where there's a level tool. And so if I click in this area, it sets the level tool, and then I could wipe that back out again. So left click sets it at whatever elevation. So if I could set it up here on top and then I did it, it would actually bring all that up, which is a little strange. But then you've also got this soften tool, which kind of comes in through here and just does exactly what it says. It leaves the topography there. It just allows you to kind of soften it out a little bit. And then you have this slope tool, which picks a slope that you've kind of grabbed and allows you to smooth it out a little bit. And so what I'm trying to do here is add just a little bit of interesting topography to the island here just a little bit. Soften it out. So this is how you can kind of work in topology a little bit, or topography. I keep saying topology, I don't know why. For crying out loud, I know topography, I do it all the time. Oh well. And then kind of smooth it out and bring it down a little bit. Maybe create a little bit of a cliff edge here. Ooh, oh, that's kind of interesting. They create a little bit of a beach, a little bit of a bar coming out there. That's kind of an interesting look. Yeah, we'll leave it there. It's not very indicative of what this island really looks like, but that doesn't really matter. We're trying to create something that's a little bit more interesting, so I wonder what this will do. Maybe that'll give us... let's smooth that out just a little bit. Ooh, it's getting me too far out there. Let's try smoothing out this direction. That water is kind of messing with me. I can't quite tell where it is because it's splooshing all over everything. Sploosh. Sploosh. Let's try even... Ah, man, it's getting too far out there. I don't want it coming out that far. Let's do this. Let's take this guy. We're going to go to the bottom of the ocean here. We're going to kind of... or bottom of the river. We're going to recut that edge a little bit. There we go. That's better. Now, let's try and grab something that's a little bit higher up here. Dadgummit, that's not what I wanted. Go right in there. There we go. And then we'll try and soften this just a hair. There we go. A little more kind of wavy hills. I wonder what this guy will do if I put that in right here. Right. Adds a little more there. Soften that up just a little bit. That's pretty much, it looks better than it did. At least it's got a little bit more interest to it. Okay, now let's get back into the vegetation here. So this is kind of a cool thing you can do here. You could, again, you got the brush. You can bring it way up high. And we're going to start with some deciduous trees here. And I think what I really want to do is I want to paint, right in through here, right in through these lower hills, up through the valleys a little bit, up through the valleys a little bit. And then maybe we'll grab some conifers, which is, this area is all about conifers in Portland. So, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to waste all of my trees on areas. I'm probably not going to build a ton. I don't think I'm going to build up in there a lot, so we can put a couple stands in through here. We'll get some of these guys along the riverbanks, which is where they would really be probably. Yeah, along the edges here, we'll add for a little variety in size. We'll get some more conifers going in here. We're already at 20,000 trees. And we probably want to pretty heavily get this island in here. A little stuff along the edges there. Okay, we'll go up and through here a little bit. What about these guys? What are these? I don't know, I can't quite tell. Get some more of these guys going in through here. There we go, that's some nice treed vegetation going on here along this bank. Maybe some more conifers going in through there. We're probably not going to have too many. You'd have a lot of deciduous trees in amongst the, I'd call this the fertile plains, and then maybe a bunch of trees, conifers up and through, which is pretty true to life anyway. We'll add them along this edge for visual interest, but we don't want to spend too many of our trees in the areas we're not going to build. Alright, let's get over here on this Mount Tabor side right over here. We'll get a bunch of conifers in there. We'll get some deciduous. And we gotta get some deciduous just kind of going in through this plane a little bit. So where are we at? We're at 43,000 trees. So that's still, we still got a lot of trees to go. So we're gonna get our slough over here. We'll go ahead and get a couple of conifers. Again, I'm probably not going to spend too much of my capital out here on the island. Maybe a little bit. It's kind of funny that this shows up. This is actually a really deep train cut. So this is the train comes through there. So maybe we'll put a train through there as well, just for fun. Oh, look at this, man. Look at that. That's kind of cool. It's got the fall colors and the deciduous trees. Ooh, that's pretty. Alright, we'll get a couple more in through here. Maybe some more conifers. I think we want this to be pretty heavily wooded, just because. Yeah, I think that. Does that look like a pretty good start? Let's zoom in here a little bit and see how it feels. Oh yeah, that's nice. Maybe a little bit more up and through here. A little more along that hillside. There we go. Get some more back up in there. Maybe back up in here. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Look at those trees. Coming along through the plains here. Maybe we'll turn down our brush a little bit. Get a couple more dotted along amongst the plain out here. Pretty beautiful. This is kind of a neat island. And so you can see, let's see, right here, this darker white line, this is going to be our starting tile. This will be a nice area to start building in. I wouldn't say necessarily that it's got a whole lot more topography than some of the stock games, so it'll be sort of interesting. We'll do roads and trains next, but I think I'm going to cut out right here. I'll start laying some roads and the trains in, and we'll come back in just a minute and see how it looks. Okay, so we're back. We've got quite a bit done at this point. I probably should have done a lot more on this on camera, but the reality was I was still learning the tools, so I think I would have spent a lot of time demoing stuff on screen, and so because I did tear a lot of this out as I was going along, but nevertheless, here we go. I'll get back into north orientation here, and for those of you that know Portland, I think you can look at this and realize that this is a loose interpretation to some degree. So this sort of represents this interstate right here sort of represents I-5 going through town, and there's that kind of weird interchange down where 405 comes around, and I tried to get some of the characteristics of it to where it comes off, and without connecting 405 all the way through. I thought that might be a good sort of thing to do in game after you get enough tiles. And then here, this sort of represents I-84, and that's, I ended up putting in this water channel here, which in reality, in the topography, this is where I-84 goes right down through this canyon into downtown, and there's the I-5 interchange. But, we've only got so many assets in the game, and I thought that might actually be a nice feature to play with. So the idea is this is based on the topography and the terrain, but it's not meant to be exact replica. And so then, here's I-84 and goes around that little hill that's out there by 205 that comes in through here. And so, I kind of represented I-84 going out, and that way we had 3 connections on the map, or 4 actually. So we've got all 4 connections for interstate, and then I-5 coming down, connecting to the south. And then what was really difficult was getting something that sort of represented I-26 that goes up through that canyon and eventually ties off towards the coast over there. So overall, I think it's a good. The idea was that it would be using the terrain to generate something that might be a fun way to play. And so I decided that this was the main tile, the starting tile. And so rather than, again, like having 405 going through, I created 2 connections coming in. We've got a train line that's going through that goes on south. Then that train connects all the way up to, I actually brought it, which it doesn't actually do this, but I brought it up through kind of what the Forest Park area and connected it to this side of the map, as well as bringing it across. And this is, very accurate to what the actual train location is, up through this channel and then up, connecting up by I-5 area. So that's pretty close and accurate. And then I brought the train connection all the way over to this side, out over here, and then through these tiles that are on the outer edge. The idea being that, eventually we'll probably have, airport development out here, something like that. I did include, let's see if it'll show it in here very easily. Where are you? Train, boat, there we go. So we do actually have a boat connection up in here for a harbor. That's flowing the wrong direction. I don't know if I can change that. I don't think I can, but that doesn't really matter too much, I don't think. I did bring a connection for a harbor down close to where the Portland harbors actually are. I didn't get it all the way down in there, but it's pretty close. Which way is this running? That's flowing the wrong direction as well. That's all right. I don't know that I can correct that anyway, even if I wanted to. And then we've got an airplane path that's coming through here. We've got an airplane connection. We got 2 different airplane connections. The idea being that we could kind of put one in wherever we wanted to. So the last bit that I wanted to add to the map is a little bit more in the way of vegetation. Oh, and these guys right here, these are kind of interesting. I didn't realize, I don't know if these are even in the game that I've seen before. Let's go back to here. Is it here? No, it's these guys. So this is the environment editor, and you can add sandy beaches, and you can add wildlife spawn points. And I don't know that I've seen wildlife actually in the game yet, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then a large smoke marker. I have no idea what to use for that. I suppose that would be if you were to insert assets or something. I can't imagine why you'd want that necessarily, but we'll see. But I went ahead and threw in a bunch of wildlife spawn points because that's kind of what happens on those hills, Forest Hills. You get a lot of wildlife coming down to the city from it, so why the heck not? Yeah, I think. Oh, that's the last thing I wanted to do was I did download this guy, which is a conifer, and here because I didn't really have any conifers. I was saying conifers earlier, but really it was beach trees, and it's too bad they don't have any decent conifers in here. There may be a reason for it, I don't know, but we're going to drop a couple in here and just see what it looks like. There you go, those are pretty cool. Actually, I like those. Oh yeah, I do like that. So let's go ahead and start get some of these guys coming in through here. We're already at, I don't want to use more than maybe 100,000 trees. Is there a way to actually delete this? What if I hit shift? Alt? Control maybe? Alt? Nope. I thought maybe it's bulldozer? Yeah, sorta. I feel like there's a better way to do that, but for right now, let's just go ahead and we'll just drop the trees in. Yeah, there we go. We'll get a bunch more conifers in here. And that's only kind of concentrate on putting them on the map where we will actually be building. So, you know, along the hills here, maybe up through on the highway up and through here. This would be kind of cool. And eventually we'll build back up in here. So let's go and put some back up in there. They don't really occur along riverbanks very much, but I'll throw some in there anyway. They should be happening down in through here a little bit. We'll put them along the interstate here. Along the riverbanks in here, we'll drop some into the island. Along here. Back up in the hills a little bit. I think we'll probably end up taking a road back up in here and trying to do some building back up in there. That'll be kind of cool. And then we'll drop some in here amongst the interstate. I'm probably not going to build in here anytime soon. I will be building out here eventually. There we go, along the interstate. We're used to seeing lots of conifers along the interstate in Oregon, so we'll just kind of continue that up through here. There you go. We're not going to be able to travel down that far anyway, but there you go. So we're at 72,000 trees. That leaves me plenty of room to add a bunch of trees while we're building. We'll just kind of add some along and through here, along the interstate. There you go. That looks good. Put some up here. Even though I won't be able to see them. Put some along in here. Put some up on the bluff. Up here in St. John's. On the train tracks. Perfect. All right. I could probably do this all day long. Oh, that's a pretty good mix of trees I think we got in there. We got a very green kind of environment. I think that's awesome. And so I think we are about done with our map. I think this is a good thing to start from. We got interstate road connections, we got highways, we got all the things that they asked us to get. So we got water stream in the starting area. We got highway connections, outgoing highway connections. We got trains, ships, plane paths. I did put quite a bit of oil forest, fertile and ore areas in. So I think we are good to go. Heck yeah. So let's go ahead and save this map. I'm going to save it as the Portland area. Again. Save. Yep. And there we go. I think we want to quit back to the main menu. And I'm just about ready to start. I think I'm going to go ahead and upload my mods that I want to get in here. Like I want to get IKEA. I've got a couple of the things I definitely want to get started with, and I'm going to get those loaded in, and I'll probably scroll through them pretty quick just so you can get an idea of all the ones that I've included, but I won't talk about them too much. My goal is to kind of bring them into the game when they're appropriate, and to add things over time. I think it'll be fun to do it that way. So I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into the workshop, download a bunch of mods, and get our set up for the next episode. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, leave a like, I'd appreciate it, and we'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.